All right, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. So the first thing is let's look at our question we're asking, and that is how can I determine if two lines are parallel or perpendicular? So if two lines are parallel, then their slopes are going to be equal. So let's write the equation of a line with the y-intercept of 5 that is parallel to a line with a slope of -5. So I want to write it in the form y equals mx plus b. My m is my slope, b is my y-intercept. And then in my problem, I'm given those two values, y-intercept of 5, slope of -5, and that's parallel. So I know that the slopes are going to be the same, -5, and the y-intercept is 5. So then I just plug it back, the values for m and b, into my equation. Y equals -5x plus 5. All right, another example. Write the equation of a line parallel to y equals 2x minus 1 and contains the points 0, -1. All right, so again, I'm going to write it as y equals mx plus b. In my original line, my m was 2. In my new line, my m is also going to be 2 because the line is parallel. Okay, so I have now y equals 2x plus b. I don't know what the y-intercept is. I'm just given a point. So there's what you can do is you can take the x and the y here and this point here, so that's x and y, and plug them in to this equation to find b. So I know that 1 is going to have to equal 2 times 0 plus b. That's 1 equals 0 plus b, so 1 has to be b. Then I can go back, y equals 2x plus 1. Now, if you notice, my x value is 0, so this number here is actually my y-intercept, only because my x is 0. But if my x was not 0, then I would just do this process here to find the actual y-intercept, so I can put it in slope-intercept form. So that is how you write an equation of a line parallel to another line. Now let's look at a perpendicular line. So in perpendicular line, slopes are what they call opposite reciprocals. So that just means if it's positive, it becomes negative, and then you flip it. So if it's a fraction, the numerator becomes the denominator, and vice versa. So write the equation of a line perpendicular to the line y equals 1/6x minus 1/2 with a y-intercept of -6. So I'm going to make kind of a table here. This is my original. This is my new. My original slope is 1/6. That means my new slope is going to be -6/1, which just is -6. And my original b, or y-intercept, is -1/2. And then I have to find, in this problem I am given my new y-intercept, which is -6. So I'm given that b is -6. So then y equals mx plus b. I'm taking it all from the new. Y equals -6x minus 6. All right, now this one. Write an equation of a line. That's supposed to say perpendicular. So I'm going to change that real quick. That is supposed to say perpendicular. So perpendicular to the line y equals 4/7 x minus 1 and passes through 3, negative 2. So again, I want to do new, or do original first. Original and new. So my original is 4/7. That makes my new negative 7/4. If you don't like working with fractions, you can change this one to a decimal, which would be negative 1.75. So I'm going to leave mine as a fraction, and then at the end I'll also give you the decimal answer. So I know that my line is going to look like y equals mx plus b, and I have my new slope, y equals negative 7/4 x plus b. I don't know my y-intercept, but like we did with the parallel line, I have a point that I can plug in to find it. So I want to plug in negative 2 for y and 3 for x to find b. Gives me negative 2, negative 21/4 plus b. If I add that, that gives me b as 13/4. So then I can take it and plug it back in here. I have y equals negative 7/4 x plus 13/4, which is my final answer. If you did it in decimal form, you would get y equals negative 1.75 x plus 3.25. Either one will work. I don't have a preference. So just to recap, if two lines are parallel, then their slopes are going to be equal. If they're perpendicular, they're going to be opposite reciprocals of one another. And then you can use the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and plug in values for the intercept to get your equation. Or if you don't have the intercept and you have a point, you can plug in the x and the y for those into that equation to find b, and then replace b to get your final answer. Hope y'all enjoyed this.